A nice wooded walk, a nice field edge, and a famous tree. Well, this famous tree is the Parliament Oak, or what's left of the Parliament Oak. At one time, the main tree stood between these two trunks that are visible now. And certainly the trunk on the left hand side is directly connected to the Parliament Oak. Parliament Oak was a huge tree at one time in its heyday, with a circumference measured of 28 feet. And that's quite a sized tree. So why the Parliament Oak? We shall see. There's several stories connected with this tree. Perhaps the most popular of the three is that King John, many years ago, in 1215 to be precise, no, I can't remember it, and that doesn't mean it was 12:15 either, but in 1215 King John was said to have met rebel barons here as part of negotiations that eventually ended in the signing of the Magna Carta. And Magna Carta, there's a pub in Loudon called the Magna Carta. And here again you see we've got another story of historical importance. It's either a story or it was an actual event in Nottinghamshire. Never gets mentioned. The schools will never mention it. Neither of mine did. And surprisingly, I did go to two. It was a long time ago, I must admit. And one of the other stories is that this tree, or the Parliament Oak and what's left of it, saw Edward I hold a parliament here, or near here, in the King's houses in 1290. Now we've got King John's Palace just down the bottom of the hill there. And Parliament lasted 2 days, and some of the lords staying at the local residences would certainly have passed by this oak on the way to that Parliament. And the third story relates to a Parliament held under this tree by King John with his nobles. Apparently King John had received news of something of a revolt by the Welsh Prince Llewellyn. I wonder if there's any relation to Roddy. I doubt it. Money, you don't know. Apparently King John, he was so infuriated that he ordered consent and gave his consent to execute 12 Welsh hostages that had been captured. And these hostages were aged between 12 and 14. And they were held in Nottingham Castle, which is where they were hanged on the castle walls. So kids, don't answer your parents back, would be my advice, just in case this kind of thing happens again. Anyway, that's a bit of history, local history. People local to Warsop will probably know it. People down near Nottingham Way wouldn't have a clue. But we're going to see if we can get out of this breeze and have a wander down here. May cross over the road and go into Woodland, the other side of Peafield Lane. And may come back up the left hand side of the screen, as you can see now, at the field edge, where there is a good set aside strip actually. We'll see. This mountain ash, Sorbus occuparia, if you want posh name, is quite typical of many trees this year, and certainly in Nottinghamshire. All this dieback. The only trouble when you get a dry autumn, you might get glorious weather, you often tend to get an early autumn, and that's what we're having here. It may well be a short autumn. So many leaves on the floor already. The silver birches have probably lost about a third of the leaves now, often without any change in colour. And then you've got trees like this. Hawthorn is another one that is suffering, and there are some hawthorns on the field edge and woodland edge here that are worse than this. Now I've just stepped out onto the edge of the wood, and I must admit, if you like your pylons, this is the place to come. I must admit, it's a long time since I've said that's a fantastic pylon and promptly took a photo of it. I can't remember the last time I did that, but funnily enough, this is a good vantage point just for seeing part of the infrastructure, so to speak, because you can see the line of pylons as it goes down from here above Warsop, and then goes down through King's Clipston, or by King's Clipston, and up and over the hill to the far horizon, which is the sort of Wellow Park area. The woodland on the left, on the near horizon, is King's Wood, at the top of Forest Road and the windmill at Warsop. And in the far distance there's some woodland there, and that's looking over towards Wellow Park. And on the right of the screen is the northernmost boundaries of Sherwood Pines, which for many years was quite happy being called Clipston Forest. I suppose Sherwood Pines just sounded better for the holiday park that's there. There's nothing wrong with Clipston Forest. Clipston Forest, funny enough, was the only place where woodlark used to breed at one time. A closely guarded secret. And now woodlark are everywhere in the Sherwood Forest area and on a lot of pit tops, and I've even had woodlark at the back of Tesco's in Ollerton. But it's a decent view from here. You can certainly see a mile or two. In fact, I can see some turbines that are right on the right hand side of where King's Wood extends to. The camera won't pick them up, but they look like the turbines. Well, they could be the ones out towards Newark. It's a decent vantage point. If you don't look at lichens, you should. Amazing things. And some fabulous colours. Two types here. Obviously there's the orangey yellow, And then there's the grey, silvery type, which I seem to think there's one called Physia ascendens. I don't know, it's just a name from the past when I was going to study lichens, which was when I was in the Lake District, if I remember right, and I was a kid then. There's been some changes since then. I mean, someone's invented electric, and then 5 years ago in Warsaw we adopted it. I tell you what, it's really fantastic. But lichens, marvellous. And lichens are one of our best examples of how clean the air is. Contrary to what all these doom and gloom merchants are currently preaching on about in London and wherever, the air that we breathe is far more cleaner than what it used to be. One time a day, if you breathed in the car exhaust fumes from your car, you probably stood a better chance of living than if you breathed fresh air. But you can't tell people nowadays. The lichens need clean air to grow, to survive. That's why you go outside now, if you've got a street tree near you, especially if it's an oldish one, it will be covered in lichens and algae. Whereas 30-40 years ago it wouldn't have been, because the air was so polluted. A lot of the people alive now probably can't remember the days of smogs. I can't, of course, because I'm too young. Ask your great granddad, he'll tell you. A poor bit of bramble. Poor if you're looking for blackberries to pick. But if you're looking for leaf miners, there's two common and easily found leaf miners on bramble. Here's one. Instead up, this is the leaf mine of Stigmella orella. And you can tell Stigmella leaf mine because this is what they call a gallery mine, where it's a contorted gallery mine, starts off thin and contorts its way around to the end, and the larva lives within the upper and lower epidermis of the leaves of the leaf, makes a slit in the end when ready to pupate, and then pops out. And you'll find these very commonly even in winter. If you look on the older leaves in winter, and these go pure white, almost silvery. You can't go wrong with that. And the other one is this one. And this is almost like an elongated blotch. But this is the leaf mine of Coptotrees marginea. Leaf mine starts at the very end here, and then widens. Well, I'll never really become in a gallery. It's not your classic gallery anyway. This is more like an elongated blotch. And you'll often get these two to a leaf. And again, you can find these either occupied mines in winter, or mostly unoccupied mines, older mines. Easy to find. So, two leaf mines there, commonly found on bramble. Stigmella orella, and this one, which is Coptotrees marginea.